survived, we survived. Still alive, because of the vamp, and now it's over.
So there really is a dream-stealing demon, and when you threaten your little kids with that, at least you're not lying to them. In political news, we turn to Under the Sea. Some experts are predicting civil war in Atlantis could lead to thousands of innocent deaths. We have a senior fellow at the Atlantic Pack Foundation, Eridu Adora, with more. What can you tell us about Atlantis?
Atlantis.
Isn't that what I said?
Try to say it like the Atlanteans do. Atlantis.
Atlantis.
It's difficult for most dirty surface dwellers to say.
I'm not dirty.
The last few months have been very difficult for the Atlantic government. Transforming legwalkers into water breathers. The Phoenix entity choosing another being over the obviously superior King Namor just because it didn't want to get wet, and the pressure every nation is facing from its citizens accepting the mutants' miracle drugs.
Sure, it's hard everywhere, but who could replace Namor?
Well, you have the marauding sea blades, Namor's own defenders of the deep, the Black Tide, or my favorite, the fundamentalist octopriests. Praise be to... It's not clear who would take the throne, but it's clear that people are very angry at Namor. With its recent attacks on shipping lanes, making enemies of companies and countries, Russia in particular has been trying to turn public opinion against Atlantis' militant conservative efforts. The nation of the sea is on the brink, and this war will affect the whole world. And while most people know Atlantis exists, they wouldn't know where to find it on a map.
Hey, thank you so much for listening. So that is the news. If you lived in the Marvel Universe, you really wouldn't know about any of the things that happened this week. It's one of my favorite things that happens every once in a while, where the poor people of the Marvel Universe just had to be terrified of what is about to happen to them. It's like a quiet week in that world is probably a lot scarier than like knowing the aliens are coming. Just the imagination of like, oh, what could it be this time? But in this book, Amazing Spider-Man number 76, we see Peter Parker taken off of the playing field. He is being put in a coma so that Ben Reilly can be Spider-Man for a little while. He wants permission to go be Spider-Man, and he gets it, and then it's pretty cool. He goes and does awesome Spider-Man things. It's kind of got a superior Spider-Man vibe because he's got gadgets. I guess Spider-Man's always been making gadgets, right? You know, what are the web shooters? But really leaning into the idea of showing up correctly for a fight instead of just web swinging by a bank robbery and suddenly being in a fight with the Rhino. He would now this time show up with a special rhino horn removing device. So that's nice. In Avengers 49, that's what my news was about, was that She-Hulk has been turned into the Winter Hulk. She is sent like a bomb towards Atlantis, and we find out that's what has been being planned this whole time, which was really great, tying up of a whole bunch of stories. Jason Aaron does epic really well. His Avengers has set up a really good book ending of the Marvel Universe to make it seem like the Avengers story is much more epic than it has been in the past. Alright, so then we have Black Panther Legends number 1. And this is kind of telling you the story of T'Challa's dad's death and events that would help shape the man he would become. We have Eternals Forever number 1, where Icarus is being used. He's captured and something's been done to him. I guess we'll find out next issue. You have Gamma Flight number 5, and this is probably the thing you actually might have heard about if you lived in the Marvel Universe, because all of the monsters of Gamma Flight got in a big gamma-powered fist fight and, wrecked up the joint. We have Immortal Hulk number 50. This is the end of a run that has been really interesting. Everyone was really excited about this run when it first came out, and I thought that it was being very artsy and deep, and I like that, but I really wasn't sure where they were going with it. The concept of the green door and science being mixed with religion, it was hard to follow at times, but when the Hulk was just being the ultimate power fantasy in the middle, there was a wonderful story where they went and destroyed what is essentially Roxxon's Facebook and was showing up basically doing corporate terrorism. That was my favorite part of these stories. And then at the very end, it's Hulk talking with God and really cementing the Hulk as a natural disaster, something that just always has to exist. I really like the end of it when he got his suit from Mr. Fantastic that is has unstable molecules, allowing it, I guess, for him to be a Hulk in a suit. He looked very snazzy walking out. And I liked at the end he said that Mr. Fantastic is a good man. He also had his friendship with the Thing show up in the Immortal era, where he talks to the Hulk, the kind of infantized Hulk, the very simple, angry Hulk, the green one. And that issue was great. And then here at the end, the Thing coming to save him with a kind of, brothers in arms between those two monsters. I really have liked that. It wasn't so much in the Fantastic Four book when a brainwashed Hulk showed up to fight the Thing. But it did give the Thing a wonderful moment and a knockout over the Hulk with his adamantium wedding ring. So that whole story was wonderful and worth it anyway. But still, the Immortal era, having come to an end, seems to gives us a Banner who is more comfortable in his own skin and understanding of who he is, and I wonder what they're going to do with that. He appears to be going off into space. He has cool glasses. We'll see what happens there. You had Iron Man 13. Now this is also in space with the Scarlet Spider and a guy that is dressed like a frog. This is a really, really fun story that's about to wrap up. I don't know how long Cantwell will be on the story, but I like his writing style. So then you had Miles Morales, number 31, and Miles' girlfriend gets stolen. So that's alarming. We'll see what happens next. I'm really not that upset about it personally, because I'm looking forward to Miles Morales and Kamala Khan becoming a couple, and her falling out with Red Dagger in her last issue, and then Miles' girlfriend being stolen here. I'm over here like, good. I'm happy. Now they can go and tell each other about their missing loves and find out that what they really want is to be together. You had Symbiote Spider-Man. This takes place in the past, so I didn't read it. And then you had Darkhold Iron Man, and I don't know what this story is. So I guess it's supposed to be a Halloween book. In our first issue, they did a lot of things to show that it was like current continuity, but then created the Darkhold Avengers by having them read the Darkhold, and then through a Mirror Darkly versions came out of them being all kind of gruesome and reimaginings of them as kind of like horror stories. And I didn't know where it was going to go from there, but I was not expecting to get like a reimagined Iron Man origin that really grossed me out. This issue was not for me, but I'm going to see what happens next. I bought Kang the Conqueror #3, and I really like the series, but I haven't read it yet, so can't tell you about it. But it's all about time travel, so it doesn't really matter when I read it. Then you had Shang Chi, and this was a fun idea, just wasn't executed the best way. And that is getting heroes to fight each other. We have Shang Chi basically being offered some Iron Man armor, and he's doing the honorable thing. But Iron Man shows up and acts like he's cool, but then once he leaves Shang-Chi after just a normal conversation, he goes back to the rest of the Avengers and starts running his mouth about how like Shang-Chi is obviously being a bad guy because he was trying to buy this armor. You know, if that's how you felt, you should have, brought it up to Shang-Chi while you were there. So it just kind of like makes Iron Man look bad, this book. So, like, I want to see Iron Man fight Shang-Chi, or even a bunch of Avengers fight Shang-Chi. That all sounds great. Real, normal Marvel comic stuff. But they were definitely working backwards from what they want. Ka-Zar, he's back hanging out in the Savage Land, and that's what this comic is about, is his life in the Savage Land. And if you're a Ka-Zar fan, come check it out. The best thing that they've done with this character recently was his son was really into Reed Richards' daughter, and he was very charming, son of Ka-Zar. I like to see him take umbrage with the people who come and hang out inside of the Savage Land. You see it a lot lately, whether it's Multiple Man's base where they're making the Krakoan drugs over there in the Savage Land, or there's always bases of people hanging out over there. I would like to see that bit of continuity used and have Ka-Zar get rid of the invaders. That would be great. So at the beginning of the show, I talked about demons that steal your dreams, and that's because the X-Men book was all about Nightmare coming to bother the X-Men while they're living inside their treehouse in New York City. Like, they're all asleep, and he's kind of doing his, "Oh, the delightful dreams, I have come and see your innermost demons," like a dick. And Jean Grey feels the same way I do. She wakes up and gives Nightmare a piece of her mind. She also bitch slaps him, which was wonderful, and tells him to take a hike and quit bothering people in New York City. It was a really good Halloween issue because of a couple pieces of imagery. You had the cover, which had Cyclops as the Headless Horseman, except, he has the optic blast coming out of his eyes. Then you also had a great Cyclops pumpkin that I'm going to try to recreate this year. And there was a Cyclops was wrong sign hanging off of a Cyclops sitting in a casket with, he's all skeletoned out, but the sign said Cyclops was wrong. So, like, there was a lot of fun things that happened in this book. It was very Halloween-y. But then you had X-Force, and it was just awful. Turns out that Beast was right when he was making Colossus do the walk of shame a couple months back. Well, I guess he wasn't right for making Colossus do that, because Colossus doesn't realize that he is being controlled. And it is terribly sad what happens. Colossus has a new love who is living with him in his peaceful farm, where he feels like he's helping save the world from that, just by farming and doing something positive. And then he is forced to do something which was just so terribly dark and disturbing. And, it's an X-Force book. These things have been disturbing imagery-wise. and kind of like watching characters deal with inner demons, giving you really dark concepts through Mystique or Beast, um, hard truths in the form of the white pages that talk about the clandestine behavior of Krakoa versus the rest of the world and how everyone's trying to infiltrate each other or hurt each other. So it's a very dark book, but this one hit me emotionally, maybe just because I'm such a big Colossus fan and he's such a sweetheart, and to do this to him, um, it's kind of exploitive. I was shocked. Very sad stuff. Anyway, that's what happened in the Marvel Universe.